Hello students, today we start a new chapter, chapter number 7, tender and tender notice. So in this chapter we discuss about what is tender, then after tender form, requirement of the tender documents, type of tender, and then after advantages and disadvantages of the types of tender, and at the last we discuss about tender notice and a specimen copy of tender. So let's we start our new chapter. So first we start what is tender. So tender is an offering in a writing for executing certain specified work or for supplying specified material subject to certain term and condition like rates, time and location, etc. So the construction of work is usually done by contract. Sealed tender are invited and work is usually entrusted to the lowest tender. And while inviting the tender, the bill of quantity, detailed specification, condition of contract and a plan and drawing are supplied to the contractor who wish to quote that tender rate on the payment of request or requisite of tender cost. Now here, depending upon the types of contract, the tender may also be divided into 6 different types of the tender. First one is a lump sum tender, second is a item rate tender, third one is a cost plus tender, fourth is a percentage rate tender, fifth one is a labor tender, and sixth one is a demolition tender. So the tender may be invited by a private owner or by a public notice or by negotiation. So the tender may be either open tender or selective tender. So what is open tender? So open tender is given to all reputed contractor, and thus the tender for the project are received on a competitive basis. So here open tender name indicate open, so its tender is open for all contractor. And then after second is selective tender. So in the case of the selective tender, the architect after the consultation with his client invite a limited number of the contractor for filling up the tender of project. So it's a selective tender. Now we start a new point in a tender and tender notice chapter. So it's a tender form. So what is tender form? So tender form is a printed standard form of a contract giving a standard condition of contract and general rules and direction for a guidance of the contract. And tender form is a part of the tender document, and the price of tender form is given on a form, and the printed form and other documents are to be purchased on a cash payment from the office, and inviting the tender during the office hours on all the working days. So here tender form is available from the office, and we collect tender form for a particular work from the office by giving the sum of the amount which is written on a tender form. So here there is also memorandum for giving. So here 6 thing is given. First is a general description of the work, second is the estimated cost, third one is the earnest money, fourth one is a security deposit, and fifth one is a time of completion, and sixth column for a signature of contractor before submission of the tender, and signature of witness to the contractor's signature, and signature of officer by whom accepted. So here 3 signature are compulsory given in a form. Now next we start a tender document. So here the various terms and condition of contract which are to be formulated while inviting the tender for any construction work or any civil engineering work. So here in a tender documents, first is the title page. So here this title page contains the name of the work. So here which type of the work, at a location, these things are mentioned in a title page. Then after second document is the index. So it contains all the item of contract document along with the corresponding page number. So here one by one all the documents which is attached in a tender documents, one index is prepared, and second page is a index page after the title page, and it contains all the contract document with page number is written in a index. And third is the tender notice. So it contains brief description of the project or of the any construction work, and it is intended to create a completion among the contractor whose contractor is interested in the work. Now fourth is a tender form. So already we discussed what is tender form. So this document is essential for making all the tender uniform and similar in nature, and it is printed standard form of the contract, giving the standard condition of contract, general rules and regulation, and direction for a guidance of contractors. Now fifth one is a condition of contract. So this document contain various condition of contract, and these condition are binding the parties who are fill up the tender into contract. Now sixth one is a schedule of quantities. So it is also called a bill of quantity, and contain various item of work to be executed along with their quantity. So here number of the item listed, and its quantity is listed in a schedule of quantities. And seventh is a special terms and condition. So here in this document, it covers these some of the standard term and condition which is not written in a condition of contract. It's a special terms and condition is written in a specially another documents. And eighth one is a general specification and a detailed specification. So this document contains information regarding the quality of material and workmanship, like example like which type of the tiles you fix in a flooring, which type of the concrete you use in a slab work. So all the specification is detailed specification or general specification given in a single document. And ninth one is a approved drawing. So all the above documents are signed by the contractor page by page, and necessary entries are made, and the documents along with the forwarding letter on the letterhead of contractor with requisite earnest money deposit in the form of the bank draft are put in a closed cover, and the name of the work and name of the contractor are written on the cover. So it's approved drawing. Now we start next point is types of tender. So here generally main three types of the tender are there. First one is open tender, another name is public tender. Second one is a selected tender or limited tender, and third one is a negotiated tender. So one by one we discuss on it, what is open tender, what is selected tender, and what is negotiated tender. So let's we start first one, open tender. So in this type of the tenders are invited by public advertisement, and the open tender method are usually adopted for a public work as the law required that government contract or other public contract are advertised publicly to obtain most advantageous terms. Now, any contractor who is willing to undertake a piece of work and who has a requisite finance and equipment to complete it satisfactorily is allowed to submit the offer. And the competition is classified into two groups. First one is a LCB and second is a ICB. LCB is a local competitive bidding. So what is local competitive bidding? LCB, when the submission of the tender is restricted to Indian companies only, so it's called a LCB, local companies. And ICB means international competitive bidding. So when it is open to all contractor including the international firms, also international company also fill up this tender, is called a ICB. So LCB is a local and ICB is a international competitive bidding. Now here some of the advantages for an open tender is that, so it safeguards the contractor from being denied tendering opportunity for unjust reason, and it protects the government or local authority concerned from possible insinuation of favoritism, and it provides an opportunity for having the work done at a minimum cost to public by securing the benefit of a keen bidding competition. And also there some of the disadvantages there. So there is a possibility that the firm submitting the lowest tender may be unsuitable for carrying out the work and thereby resulting in considerable waste of time and effort. So these are the disadvantages of open tender. Now next is a selected tender or limited tender. So in the case of the selected tender, the architect, after the consultation which his client, invited a limited number of the contractor for filling up the tender of the project, like A grade contractor, B grade contractor. So as a grade wise, only limited number of the contractors are invited for the completion of the work and for filling up the tender or project, and it resulted into competition on a small scale, but it proved to be useful for a specialized and skill work, and it is also result in a early successful completion of the project. And this procedure is usually adopted for a private job where the owner has to right to negotiate directly and to enter into agreement with whomsoever he chooses, and this process can be highly recommended for monumental structure, industrial construction, and other work are require specialized knowledge and equipment. So selected tender is important. Then after, another tender is a negotiated tender. So this is advanced form of selective tender, and the contractor is given by the negotiation with one or at the most two contractor. As such, there is no competition in this type of the tender, and hence it may prove to be costly, but when the work is to be completed in a target time without sacrificing for a quality, and the negotiated tender may be proved to be only alternative. And this procedure can be adopted for the following circumstances. So the firm chooses one in which the owner and his engineer have a confidence and whose integrity and reliability as well established, and second is the work to be carried out is within the special scope and experience of the firm, and the work is to be completed in a target time without sacrificing for quality. Now Next topic we start is tender notice. So all the tender notice should be in the standard form of department, and it is display in a notice board of the division and also circulate to the related subdivision and other division of the department. And for a wide publicity of a major work, the tender notice is required to publish in a 2 daily local newspaper. So here some of the important point included in a tender notice are: name of the authority inviting the tender, particular of a contractor eligible for submit the tender, third one is a name of the work and its location, fourth one is a estimated cost of the work, fifth one is a cost of complete set of tender form, sixth one is a time of completion, means time limit is given, like after 3 years you complete your project. Seventh is EMD or SD is given. So EMD is a earnest money deposit and SD is a security deposit. 8 one is the last date for a sale of tender paper, and 9th one is the last date, time limit, and place of receipt of sealed tender. So after fill up the tender, some of the date and time limit is given. So on like 1st January you fill up the tender, and up to last date is 10 January, and time is given like 5 p.m, etc. And date, time and place of opening of tender. So after all the tenders are collected, date, time and place of the opening tender is written, and accepting the authority and validity of tender. So all these 12 points are important points to be included in the tender notice. Now here one of the specimen tender notice is given. So here tender notice is blank. So here first tender notice number is written in a blank form. Then after sealed tender is a prescribed form for a following works are invited for registered contract in the appropriate class with the Khaljigya government, etc. So here class of the contractor is written in a blank. To reach the office up to or before blank AM PM on a blank date. So here time and date is mentioned in a tender notice, and then after the tender will be open on the same day at Khaljia PM. So here in a blank we mention the time for opening the tender, if possible in a presence of the intending tenderers, and the blank tender form will be available on a payment rupees of the blank form is written in a blank, then after which is not refundable of any working day from blank to blank date. So here starting and end date is mentioned. During the office hour is starting of the office hour to closing day of the office hour is given, and up to in a Saturday half day is that, so mention the time limit for the Saturday. So contractor desirous of obtaining the tender form by post should be remit by money order in advance. The amount of the regular tender fees plus some of the amount is also given of the cover postage, and the earnest money by way of treasury receipt challan should be accompany the tender, without which the tender will not be considered, and earnest money will not be accepted in a cash or by check under any circumstances. Further particular in a connection with the work can be held from the same office, the authority competent to accept the tender reserved the right to reject the lowest or all the tender without assigning any reason. So here see this one demo, serial number is that, name of the work. So like construction of office building, this is simple example is given. So construction of office building in Vallavidhyanagar district Anand. EMD is given 200 lakhs. Earliest money, so sorry, estimated cost, not EMD. Estimated cost is total project cost is given 200 lakhs. Then after earliest money is given 2 lakh. Tender fee is 1000 rupees, and time limit for completion of the project is given 1 year, and date and time for issuing the blank tender form, so 21/1/2012 up to 5 p.m. and date and time of accepting the selected tender is given 10th February 2012 at 5 p.m. and date and time of opening the tender is mentioned like 10 February 2012 at 5 p.m. So here date, name, designation and office address, all things are mentioned below the above detail. So here we complete our tender topic in a today lecture, and in the next lecture we discuss about the further clauses to be added in the tender notice along with the tender form as here listed, but not for a praise. Clear? So here we finish our important topic. Thank you.